The new Gen 9 legendary Pokemon have been revealed, with Koraidon and Miraidon, two Pokemon based off iguanas, or other similar lizards, that are so alike in fact that it has led some to speculate that they may even be the same Pokemon. That Miraidon is simply a technologically enhanced version of Koraidon. Is this the case? If so, why would somebody do such a thing? Well, first, let's take a closer look at Miraidon. To say it has technological properties is selling it short. This thing has jet engines for legs. But given its similar body shape to Koraidon, with its pronounced throat and electric pulses protruding from its head where Koraidon's feathers are, it's no wonder people are speculating that they are the same species. Whilst I'm not opposed to the idea, I think it fails to explain the extent to which Miraidon has been altered. As cool as these pixelated eyes are, there is no emotion behind them. This was made clear to us within the trailer. Koraidon smirks, yet we see no expression from Miraidon at all. Is it even capable of feeling anything anymore? To answer this, I think we're going to have to look into the history of man-made Pokemon throughout the franchise. Quick note, we're only looking at the man-made Pokemon that were intentionally created. So Pokemon like Garbodor or Banette, who exist as a result of humans, but were not the result of a creation process, aren't going to be covered here. With that being said, let's get into it. Starting with perhaps the most similar example as to what might have occurred here with Miraidon, Genesect. Genesect is a Pokemon that was introduced to us in Generation 5, and was said to have originally been a Pokemon that existed 300 million years ago, but the one we see has been enhanced by Team Plasma, who strapped a freaking cannon to its back. Why did they do this? Mostly because it's awesome, but also because they're an evil team and wanted a super strong Pokemon. Genesect is similar in that way to Mewtwo. Not quite the first man-made Pokemon we were introduced to, but we'll come back to that. Mewtwo was also derived from an ancient Pokemon that an evil team, in this case Team Rocket, enhanced in order to control an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Gen 5 did this a lot. You can draw so many similarities between this gen and the first one. Sock and Throw are Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. The Conkeldurr line is just a Machamp line, the Gigalith line is just a Golem line. You get the idea. It's no real surprise then that in these games we also got an epitome of what happens when scientists try to play God and manipulate life. In fact, now that I think about it, perhaps the reason it's a steel bug type to begin with is because it both resists and is super effective against Mewtwo. But if you want to know which one's better, go watch the movie. So, could Miraidon be an enhanced version of Koraidon created by an evil team from this new region? Possibly, but let's look further. Let's go all the way back to what we can consider, at least at the point of writing, to be the earliest man-made Pokemon, Golett and Golurk. These Pokemon that were designed thousands of years ago are based off golems, and were built to protect Pokemon, people, and sometimes even castles. Some Pokédex entries claim they were used for labor as well, which of course falls in line with common golem mythos. If you want to learn more about that, by the way, check out this video here. Golett and Golurk run off an as yet undefined energy, more than likely a form of Infinity Energy, that powers their body and allows them to still remain alive after millennia. It's interesting to think that an unassuming heap of clay, once filled with Infinity Energy, could become what we describe and know as a Pokemon. Perhaps, in the same vein, Miraidon is 100% technological, but runs off an Infinity Energy power source, which in turn has brought it to life. But if, like the Golurk line, Miraidon 2 was built for protection, then that would imply that the people who built it would need to be protected from something. What would that be? Hold on to that thought, we'll come back to it. First, I want to look at Magearna, which was built by humans a mere 500 years ago. Not everything is as it initially appears with this Pokemon, however, as what we see as the body is only an automaton outer shell. The true Pokemon lies within the soul heart. The people who made it literally managed to create a soul using the same life energy that resides within Golurk. What a wonderful feat of engineering to then be simply used as a gift for royalty. Unlike Golurk, and seemingly unlike Miraidon, Magearna had emotion. It felt the pain of other Pokemon, and as such willingly chose to help those suffering physically and emotionally. This is in stark contrast to Golurk, who, even after thousands of years, still only follow the commands of their creator. Despite the compassion it's capable of feeling, due to the limitations of its mechanical shell, Magearna also struggles to express itself. Perhaps there is hope for Miraidon yet. Unlike Casform. There is no hope for Casform. Okay, maybe that's a bit mean. Casform could in fact be the closest to Miraidon when it comes to the purpose for their creation. No, I'm serious, just hang on. Casform was created by scientists at the Hoenn Weather Institute in order to aid in tracking weather patterns. Though considering Casform only changes its form once it's actually in harsh weather conditions, it's kind of like knowing it's raining today because a stone you hung outside your window is wet. I'm sorry, I said I'd stop being mean to Casform. So why is it comparable to this majestic legendary beast? Well, I believe that the next generation of Pokemon games are going to be focused around time, and very specifically, time travel. Video here for more info. If this is the case, then perhaps fluctuations in time are appearing across the region, and scientists required a way to identify and locate them. Thus, they created Miraidon. We're getting into the realms of pure speculation now, but I'm having fun, so I'm gonna keep going. If you're having fun too, then stick around and hey, hit that like button, just to let me know. If I'm right, and scientists of the region are in a constant battle against fluctuations in time, similar to the likes of the space-time distortions in Legends Arceus, then perhaps they'd need more than just a Pokemon for detection. Instead, maybe they need a Pokemon for protection. See? I told you I'd come back to it. Take, for example, perhaps our most recent instance of a man-made Pokemon, Sylvalai, created by the Aether Foundation and infused with the RKS system with the sole purpose of hunting and defeating Ultra Beasts. The project was deemed a failure due to the Pokemon's unruly nature, so the 3 that were created had inhibitor masks placed upon them to dampen their strength, and the previously codenamed Type Full project was reclassified as Type Null. It is only when it is shown deep friendship from a trainer that it can finally break free from its restraints and fully control its own power. Most of that information is kind of irrelevant to my point, but we're trying to be thorough here. What I am trying to suggest is that once the Aether Foundation discovered Ultra Wormholes and the existence of Ultra Beasts, they immediately started work on an artificial Pokemon that could defend them should one ever appear. It's therefore not unlikely that if space-time rifts, or something akin to those, were popping up across a region, and either dangerous ancient Pokemon or Pokemon from the far future were to begin to spill through into our own timeline, that modern-day scientists would make every effort to defend the region. In this case, by creating Miraidon. A cool idea. But what if Miraidon's purpose is less aggressive in nature? What if it was designed more for reasons akin to that of Porygon? Porygon is the very first artificial Pokemon we had a chance to meet in the games. And over the generations, it has been upgraded and redesigned by scientists in different regions to accomplish different tasks. The Porygon line are Pokemon that consist only of programming data, and the creation of the first one was a technical marvel at the time. Though clearly the scientists who called it that had no idea that 500 years previous, people had created a soul. Well, there you go. The original version of Porygon was initially intended to explore space. Due to it being made up of purely data, it has no need to breathe and theoretically could exist within the vacuum of space. Sadly though, according to the Pokédex entries, no Porygon has ever managed to leave Earth's atmosphere. It is, however, able to break itself down into its composite code to traverse cyberspace, which makes me wonder, which came first, Porygon or the PC system? That's a theory for another day. Porygon was later upgraded into Porygon 2, which was in fact able to not only traverse space, but delve into the far reaches and explore other planets. It was also outfitted with artificial intelligence, which means that, unlike its original counterpart, who could only perform tasks it was specifically programmed to do, Porygon 2 could learn and alter its behavior accordingly. Porygon Z, then, is somewhat the black sheep of the family, having initially been designed to explore other dimensions entirely, which it's likely capable of doing, but due to either a corruption within the upgrade's programming, or the incompetence of the programmer who upgraded it, Porygon Z acts erratically. So, that's an artificial Pokemon designed to explore cyberspace, deep space, and, effectively, ultra space. I don't think it's too much of a stretch that the next step for scientists is to explore space-time, and create a Pokemon capable of traversing the time stream. Perhaps they researched tales of an ancient lizard-like Pokemon who had the capability to transcend time and built their new creation in its image. Similar to how the RKS system and Sylvalai were designed after stories of Arceus found in the Canalave library. And that, I think, is what Miraidon's origin will be. They're not a technologically enhanced, revived version of Koraidon, but instead an entirely artificial Pokemon made in its image, which is then fueled by life energy. Once space-time rifts, or something akin to them, started popping up across the region, and scientists needed a way to explore them, they developed this new Pokemon. What do you think about this theory? Let me know your thoughts and any ideas you have in the comments below, because that's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you join us again on the next one. But until then, we'll catch you later. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell, do all the YouTube things, and I shall see you on the next episode.